Hi everyone. Yes, I'm back with another speed paint. I decided to paint something related to Helluva Boss because this channel is 90% Helluva Boss content, and I figured I might as well. And let me say, I did not expect it to turn out this well. I don't know if you can see, but I fumbled a little bit trying to figure out the placement of everything. The poses are a little complicated, but fortunately I was able to figure it out by the end. That's the great thing about sketch layers, you're allowed to fumble. I've also been practicing my painting skills as of late. I recently painted one of my original characters, Ashley Squirrel, and I already pointed this out in a video back in January, but there's no relation to Ashley Nichols for everyone who is now immediately making the connection. I just think Ashley is a really cool girl name. Anyway, so I've been painting. I used to not understand painting at all, like how do you figure out where to place the colors and how to work the shapes, where do you even start? But then I learned that if you work primarily with lines in your art, you can think of painting as a line drawing, but you just start adding additional lighting when normally you would stop. The lines are a delineation of form and you can just fuzz them out when you don't need them anymore. In fact, if you blur them, they kind of act as an area of shading, and it's pretty easy to work from there when you get into the rhythm of painting. The point is, I'm learning a lot about art. I'm a big learning person, and that brings me to my last project where I made a short animation about the Jacko pose. I also made a video where I just dubbed over a comic I had made, which actually reached the front page of the Furry IRL subreddit. Yes, I'm a Redditor. I will allow you to make fun of me for this. Believe me, I deserve it. Anyway, my thought process was, hey, my channel has been nothing but Helluva Boss edits for the past 2 weeks. I feel like I should do something original for once in my life and make something about one of my original characters. I referred to them as Flint in my OC's video, but I don't know if I like that name, so I flip-flopped on even giving them a name. Also, they're non-binary. I refer to them with they-them pronouns, though everyone seems to read them as male, which I don't mind. They sort of represent my own gender identity, where I'm male, quote-unquote, but I'm also kind of detached from gender. I'm still figuring it all out. But I did quite enjoy voicing them. I basically tried to make my voice as silky smooth as I could, and then I sped it up slightly in Audacity with a little bit of reverb. And I actually like how it turned out.
It made me sound that much more feminine, and it marks the first time any of my characters have had a voice.
The problem with the whole original character thing I've had going on in my last 2 videos is that at the time it felt like I was sabotaging my channel. Which is funny because when I'm posting nothing but Helluva Boss edits that take me like a minute to edit, I also feel like I'm sabotaging my channel. I think it might have something to do with upload frequency. I've been uploading one video every other day for the past 2 weeks, which feels like it might be excessive, but the YouTube algorithm loves it. My videos have been regularly getting over 100,000 views for almost every single upload. And it almost ruined my perception of my channel because whenever I would post something that I was actually passionate about, it wouldn't get the same number of views. It would be closer to a couple thousand rather than 100,000. But a few thousand views is actually perfectly average for a channel of my size. And lately I realized that my original content is actually doing pretty well, all things considered. The 2 rabbit videos are at around 10k each. That's pretty good. I don't know, I feel very conflicted about this channel. I feel like what this channel really needs is more of a brand. It needs character. And when my channel is heavily defined by someone else's content, it rubs me the wrong way. Now don't get me wrong, I love Helluva Boss, which is why I make videos about it to begin with. But I think I need to start injecting more personality into my work. I've been thinking about the idea of selling merch based around my original characters, like an orange fox enamel pin or an Ashley Squirrel plush, or a purple rabbit body pillow or whatever. But I can't do that if I don't make content about these characters. So I feel like I need to take charge of my own channel and post more of my own things. But I can't disregard the memes I've made along the way. I feel like I somehow have to be 2 channels at once. One dedicated to memes, the other to art. Mostly meme art, but art nonetheless. And you know, in some ways I have been able to inject a little bit of my personality in my Helluva Boss edits. In my Princess Moxie edit, I played a song from Cashmere Cat's Princess Catgirl EP, which is a collection of songs I love because of their ethereal, playful feel. It combines 2 of my favorite things, furries and hyperpop, and I was successfully able to sneak a bit of that in there. Also the whole Peggle thing, that was fun. I actually took the time to make Millie look as integrated as possible in the game. I painted a highlight on the glass and everything, so it's not like there's no creative possibilities with that sort of content. And there's another layer to all of this too. I once read a piece of advice that stuck with me throughout my YouTube journey, which is this. Imagine your video appeared in your recommendation feed. Imagine you're scrolling through YouTube and you see a weird purple rabbit smirking at you with the title, "Yeah, I'm cisgender." Would you click it? I mean, I probably would, but I'm much more likely to immediately click on something that features characters from a show I like that I'm already familiar with, because I know the experience I'm going to get. Seeing a character that I've never seen before smirking at me is alluring in its own right, but not enough to trigger the YouTube algorithm to recommend it to hundreds of thousands of people. And to be honest, my feelings are mixed about the Jacko pose animation. If it was purely self-indulgence and I never uploaded it, that would be one thing, because if nothing else, it taught me that yes, I can actually finish things. And no, animating just the mouth with minor static body movements here and there is not that much less gratifying than full 2D animation over the whole thing. Also, hey, my character is coming to life for the first time ever with full voice acting and everything, so that would be gratifying enough on its own. But since I've uploaded it, I just feel weird because yes, the Jacko pose is a popular topic and everything, but the video is kind of weird because it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it's not full-blown ironic like you would expect from a video about the Jacko crouch pose. I wanted it to be genuine, as in genuinely horny. Like, yeah, admit it, you want to do things to this rabbit. I mean, when I posted my comic on Reddit, I got a few comments saying that they would. Like, yeah, I would too. But even though it is a technical accomplishment for me and all that, is it really what people want to see? If there's one thing I've learned with this channel, just because it has a popular thing stapled to it doesn't mean it'll sell. Just because a video has a fire Kendrick verse doesn't mean it'll outdo a video where Blitz sticks his tongue out for a split second. It's not just that it has to be the right thing at the right time, it has to be exactly the right thing at exactly the right time. And there really isn't anything much more reliable for me performance-wise than posting a whole bunch of Hell of a Boss edits right after a new episode of the show premieres. And speaking of which, allow me to talk about my feelings on the episode. Of course, I absolutely love it. There's a whole segment where the animation bumps up to Disney quality for a couple of minutes, and it's really a stellar example of how high quality independent online animation can be. And then there's the whole anime fight sequence with Luna. I mean, look at that pose, look at that presence. She's not fucking around here. Now, I could talk about how Blitz and Moxie opening up to each other after breathing in the truth gas is a genuinely heartfelt moment that furthers both their character arcs in a moving way. But I'm not really a media analysis kind of guy. I'm completely receptive to other people critically analyzing content. But when I try to do it, it comes off more like, hey, look at this cool animation style, look at this sexy character design. It's all completely surface level stuff, and all I can really do is just sit back and agree with the people who are able to phrase things much better than I ever could. And speaking of surface level stuff, let's talk about Stolitz. I will admit, that scene kind of changed my perspective on these two characters. And it was a little awkward because 3 months earlier I wrote, recorded, produced, and animated a whole lyric video about how Blitz was horny for Stolas, but then changed his mind and started getting annoyed with him after experiencing post-nut clarity. But I guess it turns out that they really do love each other. It's very wholesome, at least as far as demons go. Also, I made a community post saying that Stolitz was now canon, which was apparently not technically correct because they were obviously in a relationship before this. But it always seemed like Blitz was annoyed with Stolas, so it was a bit one-sided. I mean, literally the first thing Blitz has to say about his relationship with Stolas is this.
Oh God, it was one time! If I hadn't slept with that privileged asshole, none of us would have access to the living world.
And then in episode 6, they're more like,
Want me to fuck your brains out tonight?
Very much so.
Alright, but you're keeping quiet or I'm using those bear traps.
So it feels more canonical is what I'm saying. It's about mutual affection and mutual Stolitz. That's what is now confirmed as canon. That's what I meant by that. And also, yes, I wrote, recorded, produced, and animated a whole 2-minute song about Stolitz. And it didn't get as many views as when I said fuck it and made a really crappy shitpost about Angel Dust that got twice as many views. And neither of those got even close to the amount of views that just uploading a clip from Hell of a Boss got. I guess in a way that speaks to the real purpose of art. It's not about the attention. I mean, for the first couple of years of my art career, if you could call it that, I never really uploaded anything. I drew mainly for the purpose of self-exploration. I wanted to learn more about who I was and what I was capable of doing. Right out the gate, I learned I was a furry, obviously, but later on I began to realize what my type was. I learned I really liked the color purple, which you can kind of tell from 2 of my recent videos. I learned how to develop a skill and how to translate that skill into an actual online presence, as small as it is right now. I mean, when it comes to my original stuff. When I make Hell of a Boss content, people eat it up, and the best I can hope for is that I can apply my skills as an artist to that style of content, at least as much as I can, so that the people who watch my stuff can sort of glean that there's a person making this stuff, and that they have a unique style that might not be seen anywhere else. So even though making art isn't about attention, and it shouldn't be about attention, I still really want people to notice me. Please, I put in all this work into what I do, please just notice me, I'm so lonely. Crying emoji : left parenthesis #vent. Anyway, in terms of the effort to views ratio, I think nothing on my channel hits it out of the park like the pole dancing animation. That was a full half a month of effort. Every frame hand-drawn and hand-shaded by yours truly, with a 3D door and everything, and it has 1.5 million views. I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. And what's funny is that it didn't really take off until after my 3D Luna animations took off. That's kind of a funny thing about my channel sometimes. When I have a slow month in terms of channel performance, Often later on, the videos will start to get increased attention, and that month will retroactively become a more prosperous month. Like several of my June uploads where I tried uploading Helluva Boss clips to bring attention back to my channel didn't really work at first, until 2 months later when it was exactly that sort of content that was bringing people in by the thousands, and it spilled out onto those videos as well. And what's funny is that there is one extreme outlier on my channel, a 5-minute long tutorial video about how to use EB Synth for animation, nothing to do with Helluva Boss, and it has over 100,000 views. And that kind of gives me hope for this channel because it proves that I can get noticed doing something I'm passionate about, provided it gives people something unique and is related to a search term that's just popular enough that you can sneak in a video about it and it won't get completely buried. Which is very tricky, but it can be figured out, I guess. I've also made a couple of videos on Space Jam and the then upcoming sequel, and those have done okay. I was planning on actually making a review of the new Space Jam movie, but the problem with that is mostly the thing I mentioned earlier. I'm not very confident in my ability to analyze media and dissect it in a way that would offer unique insight that can't be found anywhere else. But I can sum up my opinion on this movie. Long story short, I enjoyed watching it in theaters, but there wasn't anything that I can definitively say is good about it. There wasn't anything particularly memorable outside of the classical animation style, which itself was kind of a downgrade from the original. Definitely not as smooth. I'm not completely vitriolic about it, but I'm not all that excited about it. But I'm glad I saw it because I can finally put the whole Space Jam thing behind me. Unless I end up making a review of the movie, which means I'll have to comb through all of the mediocrity of the film and I'll have to write about Space Jam again, which I have countless scripts about potential Space Jam 2 reviews that I ended up canning. So I'm completely tired of writing about and thinking about Space Jam. I'd like to move on, please. At least for now. I suppose I could talk about the second season of Beastars. That's a furry thing that's going on. The problem is that critiquing a movie is hard enough. Critiquing a whole series is quite a bit more difficult. But weirdly enough, I was sort of able to do that one time a year ago. It took me a week and a half to put together, but I made a semi-coherent video about Beastars and furry societies and media. It's currently privated, but I might make it public again, I don't know. So yeah, here I am, a human person talking to the internet. There was a time not too long ago when I couldn't have imagined ever being able to do this. I always thought of myself as a background character who stays out of everyone's way. But once I realized that I could actually be the anime protagonist who does outlandish shit and makes it everyone's problem, life suddenly started to have meaning for me. And like I said earlier, even if my channel completely flatlined, I would still be making art and looking at it and simply enjoying the fact that I made it. And maybe rubbing one out to it because don't lie, you'd do that too if you became an artist. So thank you for 40,000 subscribers, even if most of you just want me to upload Helluva Boss clips for the rest of time. And I can do that, it's fun in its own way. But every so often I'm going to snap and start derailing my channel with more genuine content like this. It's just the way of things, I can't help it. But I do hope you enjoy it anyway if you made it this far into the video. Thank you all very much for watching and remember to stay cute.